his computer. Okay. All right, we're recording. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad that you joined us. We know that during the day it might be a little hard to find some time to be here with us live in the Zoom, but we know that you can watch this whenever you want. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm Jana Morgan-Herman, and I am a person who spent a good deal of time in Montessori, and so have all of these humans, and I am going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi. Hi, I'm Heather Gerker. Also spent a lot of time in Montessori, and I have 3 kids at home, and just here with all of you as we navigate these very interesting times.
And my name is Sara Blumberg, and I've lived in Montessori land for more than 20 years. And I am so appreciative of this community and learning so much about myself and how to navigate these times. And I'm deeply appreciative of this group.
And I'm Laura LeClaire, and I've also been a Montessori person for many, many years. I live with my grown son. We both went to Montessori when we were little. And I am really, really glad for my online life right now.
Preach. It's so true. So one of the things we were talking about before we started the recording, that one of the things that we're seeing is that people fall into basically 2 groups, and one group is the people who love to see all of the ideas and the threads that come up with work materials or suggestions for activities that their children can do, and that's great, and that can help some people feel really connected and empowered and give them ideas for structure in their day. And then there are other people who feel overwhelmed with that, and that is not something that is helpful for them to see. So we were talking about maybe trying to really be consistent with inviting people to share their ideas or suggestions in certain threads, and then people can go and look for it if they have an idea, or if they're hungry for an idea. They can either share or find ideas in threads for that. And then we can also remind people pretty consistently that, you know, you don't have to do anything special. We have the Facebook Live last week about that, and we've made posts about that you don't have to do school. Your kids can hang out, and that is great. And then more recently, we were talking about how you can watch Mr. Rogers all day long, and I can share the research with you on why Mr. Rogers is a great thing for you to watch, and you can do that guilt-free. Lots of shows on PBS. So if you need the time for your child to be occupied, there are ways that you can do that, and you shouldn't feel guilty about that. Every family is different. Every family's needs are different, and so we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along.
I want to add that our goal is not to overwhelm anyone. We're just trying to invite and inspire, and we're trying to slow it down and be really intentional, because we were saying earlier, we don't want to ask human beings to replace the classroom or be the teacher. We just want to allow a space for seeds to be planted, and perhaps they germinate, and maybe you do something or maybe you don't. So if we are overwhelming you, we apologize. That's definitely not our goal.
Heather, why don't you go over what you were saying earlier too?
Sure. I also just want to add too that, you know, it's really important, as we all know, to be checking in, not just with our kids, but with ourselves. And if we're feeling overwhelmed, we would not be offended if you stepped away from this group for a little bit, or however long you need. In fact, even as an administrator, my fellow administrators can tell you, I took 2 days and said, I got to step away for a minute. I need to follow my own advice, because I was feeling that overwhelm and seeing really great ideas and like, everybody else says they have time. I don't have any time. Who's got time? Like I had created my own sense of urgency around catching up with the activities folks were posting, because there's so many great ideas. Anyway, so yeah, make sure you're checking in with yourself, and we're here to support in whatever way you need, and then just let us know what that looks like, and if we can do something that's helpful, we will. So before we started recording, I was just sharing that over my 20 plus years in Montessori, I'm often reflecting back on one of my favorite quotes from Maria Montessori, which is follow the child. Second part of that quote is, but follow them as their leader. But I'm going to focus on that follow the child piece, and reiterating that we're not expecting you to create the classroom in your home or even know exactly what we mean when Montessori says whatever we say she says, right? Or whatever we've read. But for this quote specifically, it's really about thinking through seeing your child in the moment and what it seems that they need. But I want to flip that a little bit and think about like ourselves too. So like following our needs as well. My husband and I are both working from home full time, 3 kids. So we are in that space with many of you and trying to figure out what is the need that we have right now and voicing those out loud to your children. Your children can handle even as early as 3. We're going to not give too much of the truth around what the coronavirus is to scare them, but they can certainly hear you saying, I'm feeling really stressed right now. I need a minute alone in this room for 5 minutes. You're modeling that behavior for them. You're showing them that they're able to stop, check in with themselves, and even asking them, like, what does your body need?
Yeah.
This morning we were doing school, and I do the quotations because my kids are getting assignments from their teachers. One of them is like, it's not coming clear from everyone, but one of them's getting quite a bit of work, and he was just not into it. And so I said, I can see that you don't want to do this right now. What does your body need? He's on the ground. I don't know. So in that moment, I just said, I think I need a hug.
Yeah.
So we did. We hugged, and I sent him outside. Like,
this is trauma. This is a kind of trauma that we've experienced. There's even the fact that adults are stressed about this. Children feel that. They might not be able to understand it. And this is the children are going to remember the experience, like what were the emotions that were happening at that time, and not so much like how many works my parent made for me from a feed of half of them are Montessori teachers and well-meaning and want to give ideas to people who want them, but that is not what is important. What is important is connection, and that connection is the thing that will get you through. So it is just like Heather, I think all of us have said at different points, is that you can take time for yourself. And remember that before the most recent history that we have, parents did not entertain their children. They didn't set up things in their homes. Children played, and their parents did what they needed to do. And everybody in the family worked together to get things done. And that was an expectation. People didn't get an allowance for taking care of their house. They just took care of their house because they lived in their house. So you don't need to feel like you have to pay children to do that, or that you're a bad person if you're not paying them to do that. People often,
and if you are, that's okay too.
Yeah, either way, but don't feel guilty about it. Whatever you do is fine, and your expectations for being together in a house are appropriate. And it is okay for you to say, okay, everybody's going to go rest in their bed for a half hour after lunch, and children can take coloring books, or they can take puzzles, or whatever, to do something quietly in their room so that everybody has a time to refocus. And you don't have to do it after lunch. That's just a time. You could also do it in the middle of the morning if people seem like they're out of sorts, and saying, I love you, and I love you, and we are going to rest. I love you, and I can talk to you when I'm finished with this meeting, are all fair and appropriate things to say. And if your child has been in a Montessori school, they are used to waiting. It is one of the lessons of grace and courtesy that we cover at the beginning of the year, is how to get attention. So we model for them how we want them to get attention. And I wouldn't give you a way to do that, but you can choose, like, what do you want your child to do? Do you want them to hand you something that lets you know they need you? Do you want them to wait quietly beside you? Do you want them to touch your hand? And however you feel comfortable with them getting attention or gaining attention from you when you are occupied or engaged with something, is just what you will give them. That is the lesson. I know that you need me. When you need me, I'm asking you to do this thing. And when I am able to, I will respond to you. I promise I will. And then just make sure that you do. And that is not something in a Montessori school, you know, we know that that's settling into the pattern and relationships that they have in that room take between 4 and 6 weeks. So don't expect that you're going to be able to do it within a week or even 2 weeks. And so give yourself that understanding that you continue to be consistent as you can be. And if you blow it, you just say, I blew it and I love you and I'm going to work on it and we're all doing this together. And I think that those things, it is, you know, it is okay for you to draw those boundaries. It is okay for you to tell children to go play, to tell them to go watch PBS or some show that you have approved for them. All of that is fine. All that children really need is connection. And you can, you know, you can make sure that you get that during the course of the day. And then for the rest of the time, they can kind of entertain themselves. Don't feel like you have to, you know, replicate a classroom. And I think we're all saying that and over and over, you know.
Right. They need to feel safe, especially in the 3 to 6 realm. They need some kind of routine, whatever it is. And you can, of course, change the routine. And they need you to have the boundaries. And saying no is okay. They hear no in whatever other environments they're in. You're not going to scar them for life or send them to therapy. They need to hear no because it makes them feel safe. And right now, there's so much that's up in the air that is unclear. And that's why we're asking for consistency and for some kind of rhythm of the day that respects who they are, but also respects who you are as a human being.
And knowing that therapy is available online. So there are therapists that you can talk to over the phone, and it is okay to be overwhelmed. This is a traumatic experience for you too. And it would be traumatic if you didn't have young children in your house, but you do have young children in your house. And I think that I know people who have therapists that they meet with on the phone and they love them. So that might be something that you want to include just for this time while you are trying to organize yourself, and you should do whatever you need to do to nourish yourself. You should do whatever you need to do to nourish yourself.
Yeah. To touch on the trauma piece, I read an article this morning about trauma-informed teaching during this very challenging time, and they said everyone, adults and children, what they need right now is a feeling of safety, connection, and hope. And so those are the most important things to focus on, however that looks for you at home, because everyone at home is in very different circumstances.
Yeah.
So, but to try to focus on safety, connection, and hope.
Yeah, that's great. And true, right? We will come out of this. We will actually come out of this. And we will move forward. And together, when we have each other, when we have the people that we love with us, that makes it easier. And if you can't be with the people that you love, you can still reach out and connect with them, you know. I'm very grateful I get to connect with all of you.
What Sara was saying about saying no, like sometimes that feels safe. Like when children get these clear messages, like, no, you know, I can do that, but not right now. You know, they understand that there are these limits, and that actually makes them feel safer.
Even if they cry about it or they get sad, they seem to get sad about it, it doesn't matter. That knowing children, if we're driving on a very dangerous road, we're going to work really hard to stay on the road, but the guardrails make us feel safe when we're driving. And those ground rules that you establish and those boundaries that you establish for yourself are like guardrails for the children. They might bump up against them, but they still keep them safe. So even if the child is upset that you have said no, or you've drawn a boundary, or you've told them that they have to wait for something, or you've told them they can't do something, any of those things, that is okay. They can be upset. Being upset is just an emotion, and they can process through that. Just like when you get upset, you process through it and you're able to come around. Children can do that too. And you can trust them. You don't have to modify or let go of your boundaries because they are upset. It will be okay. And you can say anything that you need to say with love. And if you lose your temper, you can go back and say, oh my goodness, I lost my temper. And I love you, and I am going to do the best I can. And that's all anybody can ask, is that we do the best we can.
Right. I was going to add, Jana, you role modeled so eloquently and beautifully how you can talk to a child when they're interrupting you. And sometimes when we're stressed, our emotions get really high and our voice gets louder. And if you notice a, a really exemplary Montessori teacher, when they're laying out boundaries and talking about procedures, they're usually on the child's eye level, not intimidating them, with a space between them, and they're quiet. And Jana, you role modeled how quietly to talk with children, because if you meet someone's loudness with your loudness, it's just going to escalate. So when you're in those moments where you want to rip your hair out and you're really angry, take a deep breath, maybe even count to 10, kneel down and talk with your child. And Jana, you were talking about the trauma of this experience. And then on the other end, I'm thinking of, I read a piece from Catherine McTamaney way back in the day about this is the time to make memories. And this is the time that you can use to create something that you can look back on one day and laugh about. And so have a sense of humor and laugh at yourself and enjoy the times that are happening with your children, because soon everything will be back to normal, whatever normal is. Your children will be in their 40s.
Yeah, and I would say too that, if you think, oh, this is a time to make memories, you may make some memories that are stressed, but everybody goes through stress. And the best lesson that you can give is going through stress and showing how to make amends when you make a mistake, and how to show grace to other people when they make a mistake, and how you can ask for forgiveness, and how to move on, and when you make amends, like how to grow from that. So we are all going to have a series of stressful encounters during this time, because we are sharing space with people and we're not able to get away from them. That is a real thing that will happen, and that is an experience, and that's a real experience, and it's going to happen universally. The difference is how we respond after those traumatic experiences. So it can turn into a very beautiful thing to have a moment of stress where maybe you say something or do something that you regret, and to be able to be very humble and say, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish that I had said this. And this is what I'm going to work on. Can you imagine the profound lesson that shows children about how adults are, and it models to them what they can do, and that it's okay, and that if you can set pride aside and just acknowledge the stress that you have. Children love us unconditionally. Your children are going to love you no matter what. They're going to love you if you lose your temper and don't say you're sorry. And they are going to love you if you lose your temper and say you're sorry. Children just love their parents. They just do. And so, and everybody's doing the best they can. And just like you want them to know that you're doing the best you can, then we also remind ourselves all the time that they are doing the best they can. All behavior is communication. We are all trying to function in ways that we've never had to function before, and doing the best we can. And if you lose your temper, just move forward from that with the goal of maybe how you can catch yourself the next time. When you realize that if you have somebody at home with you, another adult or a partner at home with you, you can kind of trade off so that one person both people aren't on all the time. People can have a kind of a turn taking, so they are responsible for managing situations. And at this point, I would say that even if you feel like you're super skilled at it and your partner is not super skilled at it, that is not a reason for your partner not to help you or not to take a turn with it, because they won't get better without practice. And so this is a great learning opportunity for them. To be able to learn how to navigate those difficult situations so that you can take care of yourself as well. And if your partner is better, then you say, I want to do this too. I want to share this too. And if you are a person who is parenting solo, then it is going to be very important that you, first of all, talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend. If your best friend called and said, I really blew it, I did this thing and I regret it, how would you talk to your best friend? You would say, all you can do is do your best, you apologize and move on. So talk to yourself that way. And then the second thing is you really have to, I would suggest that people lean on the routines of either bedtime or morning time to make sure that, if no other time, that they can reach out to their friends and get support, friends or loved ones, and just say, it is important that you say, I am really struggling and I need you to give me feedback, because anybody who cares about you is going to say the same thing. Anybody who loves you or cares about you is going to, first of all, expect that you are under stress, because we all are. And secondly, they're going to feel special that you reached out to them, so that they could tell you all the great things that they believe about you. And they want the opportunity. You don't have to put on a strong face because everybody is stressed. So you just say, this is how I feel right now. Can you help me or give me some feedback? And those people are going to talk to you the way that you should be talking to yourself. And so even if you're on your own, it's still important that you create community among other adults or people who can support you.
And I'm going to shout out to every solo parent right now. I've been a solo parent for 20 years. You are enough. Whatever you're doing, whatever you can manage is enough. If you are suddenly home with all of your children and you're used to sending them to school, and now you're the only adult in that house, you are going to be okay. And definitely listen to Jana's advice. Like, find someone to talk to, take care of yourself. But no matter what happens, it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your children will be fine.
Yeah, and your kids will be too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a good little pep talk.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming to our pep talk instead of TED Talk. And you can, you will share, yeah, and you can, we'll have this available so that people can, we'll share the link with anybody and they can come in and rewatch it. So I think that's it. Have a great day. I love you guys.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Very thankful for this group, for all of you.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll be here on Friday again at 12.
That's right. Friday at 12. Join us Friday at 12 Eastern time. And you can look for the Zoom link. I will delete the Zoom link I just posted to get here because it won't work anymore. And I'll share another Zoom link for Friday in the thread. Okay. See you later.